Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to share my top 10 albums 2024. If you want to check out these albums further, I put together a playlist on YouTube, link in the description. I'm trying to grow this channel a bit more and put out more content in between violin covers. This channel is always going to be about violin and metal, but I want to put out more videos in between. It takes a lot of time to practice, transcribe. Hope you like some of the videos that I'm putting out in between those cover videos. But I thought it'd be interesting to share my music taste outside of the bands that I cover. There's a lot of music and bands that I like that it's just not possible to cover on violin, and thought you guys might be interested in checking out what I like. So this is just for fun. Obviously this top 10 list doesn't mean anything. In terms of my criteria, it's pretty loose. I mean, I put some thought behind this, but I really like albums that stand out, that are doing something different, bands that are fusing different genres together but in a really good way. I appreciate that. I also appreciate a really good artistic concept that's thought out. I'm not a big lyrics guy, but I can appreciate when there's a cohesiveness that threads the songs together. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about replayability. What are the albums that throughout the year I found myself coming back to again and again and again? If I'm not doing that, if I'm not revisiting an album, then does it really deserve to be in the top 10? Probably not. So let's get started. At number 10, I've chosen Engulfed, Unearthly Litanies of Despair. Engulfed is a band from Turkey, and they share members from band Hyperdontia and Burial Invocation. This is a great death metal album, dirty production, really sinister riffs, just sick solos. Not as great as their last effort. So their last effort was an MLP called Vengeance of the Fallen. This is a short spin, but man, this is really fantastic. So if you want to check out Engulfed, check out these two albums, but maybe start with this one. I definitely think this was their better effort. Do yourself a favor and check out this band. Coming at number 9, I've chosen Merrimack out of France. The latest album is called Of Grace and Gravity. Man, this one is really evil. Merrimack plays a style of black metal that's rooted in the second wave, but it's a really polished production. But they just write really quality riffs. It's hard to believe this band is coming up in their 30th year of existence. Not that I've been listening to them for that long. I've been tracking them for maybe 10 or so years. By far their best album since 2012's A Causal Mass. This was the album that really put Merrimack on the map for me. They're just great riff writers, really evil sounding riffs. The best band I could relate it to is Swedish band Onskapt. By the way, I'm going to mispronounce a lot of band names in this video, so just bear with me and don't make fun of me in the comments. Onskapt is band out of Sweden, really haunting, evil sounding riffs, more so than your average black metal band. And so Merrimack's got that, super fast, but also has some slower, doomier parts, high quality, just very consistent, and I really dig the instrumental track at the end. So check out Merrimack. Coming at number 8, I've got Crucifier's Led Astray. They're a black / death / elements of doom in their sound. If I were to relate it to another band, what keeps coming to mind is Necros Christos out of Germany, especially their album Doom of the Occult, which is a great album. Check that out if you haven't heard it. But what I really like about this Crucifier album is it has a thick, really stormy, cloudy production, but like in a good way, not muddy. And the solos in this album really stand out. Not your typical death metal or black metal solos. They're kind of bluesy. They've got some melody to it. kind of heavy metal-esque. So yeah, but those solos somehow complement the rest of the album really well. It's not like totally just juxtaposed and out of place. The other interesting thing about this album, I'm not a huge lyrics guy, but just reading the song titles and from the vocal delivery, this has some vile, really anti-religious lyrics. So if you're into that, go for it and check that out. If you're not, then just listen to the music. Coming in at number 7, I've got a band called Furtan and their album Ethos. These guys play a form of black metal that's a fusion of some of their label mates on the AOP label. Bands like Karg and Groza, fusing that melancholy as well as brutality, but also creating just something entirely new. They add some touches of symphonic elements, but very light, not overpowering. There's also some sludgier and doomier parts as well. If you like fast black metal, there's definitely a lot of that in this album as well. What really struck me with this album is there's just really strong sense of melodies here, some very epic moments. Yeah, I know this band has been around for a while. They put out a couple of albums before this. I was really pleased to see them put together such a strong effort with this album, Ethos. Coming at number 6, I've got a really fun album by a band called Bloody Keep. This is called Rats of Black Death. This is Bloody Keep's debut album. This is another project of the artist Abysmal Spectre. You might know him from other bands such as Curtain Wall and Old Nick. What really stood out for me for Bloody Keep is it's just really catchy. I really like the aesthetic that's going on. So it's raw black metal, but also there's a lot of keyboards going on, multiple layers of keyboards sometimes. So sometimes there'll be the airy synthiness going on to give it some mysticism, but other times there'll be just like bells or organs. Sometimes it sounds like a wood block going on, and so there's a lot of sound effects to complement the raw guitar sound. There's some really fun melodies in here, very playful, kind of like a tongue-in-cheek style or a hooligan type of style, if you will. It's probably not going to be for everyone's taste. Some people might find it cheesy, but I really recommend that you at least check it out once. Probably one of my most listened to albums this year. Coming in at number 5, I've got Thy Catafalque's latest effort. This is their album 12. If you're not familiar with Thy Catafalque, then you need to go and check them out right after this video. The band is led by a sole member named Thomas Katai, and he is just a musical mastermind. He is probably like, if he was born in a different century, he probably would have been composing symphonies, because this man must be able to hear and know how every instrument can work together. This is a very eclectic album. It's almost like if world music went metal, right? There's a lot of different instruments going on. There's some like 30 different artists that have been credited in the album, playing everything from local folk instruments in Hungarian instruments, violin and wind instruments. There's a lot of electronics here as well. There's really no other band like this. The only band I could really reach for and think of is there used to be a band, I don't know if they're active anymore, called Orphaned Land. And they used to play, heavy metal with some Middle Eastern music influences. Album number 12 is certainly, you know, a fantastic album. This album really encapsulates a lot of his different styles that he's played in the past. And so for me, when I hear it, I hear a fusion of many of his different albums. The electronics of Geometria, the folkiness of Vadak, and the brutality of the album that he put out before this one. So again, highly recommend and go check it out. Coming in at number 4, I've got the Japanese band Sabbath. This is their album called Sabbaticult, and they put it out in 2 versions. I have the Japanese version, but they also put out an English version, kind of like what Opeth did with their 2019 album. Personally, I think the Japanese lyrics work better. I don't know which one they composed first, but it just sounds better to me in Japanese. Sabbath's been around for many decades. Not every album is a hit for me. Some of Sabbath's albums might strike the listener as a bit noisy and a little too messy, too raw for some people's tastes. I think that this album is probably, I wouldn't say it's mainstream, but it's its most comprehensive album in my opinion. It's its most accessible album, I think. So if you've heard of this band but never liked any of their past efforts, or you've never taken the time to listen to them, I think this is a great album to start with. It's rooted in black metal. There's some thrashy parts, sprinkled with a bit of some punkish vibes and beats here and there. Just a lot of like spontaneous energy. You can really feel that like they're very passionate and very loose and free in their musical style and during the recording session. Coming in at number 3, and just in the nick of time, is Ara's latest effort, Eiger. I say just in the nick of time because this literally just came in the mail 2 days ago. In fact, just as I had put together this top 10 list, I'd just come across this new album drop, which they put out in December. And so I had to, listen to this one a couple times and reshuffle my top 10 list and fit this one in, because this is a really solid album. Ara is one of those bands that they've been around since I think 2019, and they are very prolific in their productivity. They put out an LP a year, and they've been on my radar since the very beginning, but it's never been quite enough to get me to purchase anything. I've always appreciated their style, very thin, trebly black metal, typical black metal banshee shrieks. Good use of keyboard to add that haunting mysticism feel. Good sense of melody, but I think I didn't really grasp their songwriting before. I think they've reconfigured their formula perfectly now on this latest album. It's also their longest album to date. There's a great atmosphere. It's all centered around I guess there's a mountain in the Alps or something like that. Again, not a lyrics person, so but you can really feel the cold in the album. There's some wind samples, so you get the howling wind. You feel like you're out in the tundra. There's some really cool acoustic guitars that show up throughout this album, and those guitars really add to this just kind of cold, desolate vibe. They did a really great job on this album, and I really think you should check it out. My number 2 album on this list is Hail Spirit Nor's Fossil Gardens. Hail Spirit Nor, I will call them HSN. They come from Greece. They're kind of a progressive black metal band. Again, kind of like Aura, it's a band that's been on my radar for quite a while. Always been enough for me to check out their latest releases, but never been enough for me to purchase anything until this record. They really nailed it here. The best way for me to describe it is if you were a fan of 2023's Dodheimsgard Black Medium Current, you should definitely check out this album. It has a very similar flavor to it. Progressive black metal. Sometimes there's clean vocals, very spacey vibe, there's electronics, also a lot of brutality, some wonderful melodies in this album, just top-notch stuff. Every time I listen to it, I'm always fascinated by one of the melodies or the production. I thought they did a fantastic job on this album, and you should check it out. My top album of 2024 has got to be Blood Incantation, Absolute Elsewhere. This is just an incredible album. I haven't paid too much attention to everyone's reception of it. I get a sense that it's a pretty divisive album. For those who aren't aware, this is a death metal album. The death metal side is in the style of Morbid Angel, specifically the Gateways to Annihilation era. But with this album, they took that Morbid Angel death metal style and they mixed it with 70s progressive rock, electronic work. So it's a big melting pot of very different styles. In my opinion, they fuse it together all really well. I think some of the feedback I've seen out there is, it's too forced, I guess. Some people don't like the transitions, don't work well enough for them. When I heard the first transition in the Stargate go from death metal to straight up just like psychedelic rock, I remember, like, wait, what just happened? I think by the second or third listen, like, you really start to anticipate it and it makes sense, like, where they're going. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a different album. It's not your standard death metal album, but I'm a big fan of it. Plus, check out that awesome album artwork. So there you have it, there's my top 10 list. Hopefully you found a band that you'd like to check out more. And let me know in the comments what was in your top 10 and give me some recommendations. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.